can tell you I have so much of tax credits possible. Same thing which you asked me in the break. Same thing. Yes, Ganeshji.
EBIT minus tax plus depreciation minus interest plus. Another way of looking at, would it be like that, PAT plus tax adjusted interest plus depreciation minus capex plus minus?
Absolutely, absolutely.
PAT plus tax adjusted interest.
This is typically a McKinsey way of working. My way of working is what we traditionally do in a DCF is this way of working. आप ऐसा या ऐसा choice आपका है. वो थोड़ा पैट का क्यों होता है ना, these guys they always talk in terms of P ratios. तो उनको पैट से स्टार्ट एक ही है. You can do that. It will arrive the same thing. I'm not taking it as a question. I'm taking it as a noting. Yeah, you can work it out, right? I would suggest keep this because from here you can start talking about EBITs. And first thing that I want to before I start. Anybody wants to work with me, you can. I'll give you the sheets. We can work together if you have a laptop, or we can discuss the case. But before I discuss the case, right, can somebody tell me why is EBITDA important? EBITDA important, right? Okay. One fundamental question, which you will easily knock off. What's the difference between break-even in valuation, break-even in valuation and payoff? What's the difference between these two things? Break-even and payoff. Sir, if I can request you please, break-even and payoff.
Break-even is basically where it's basically contribution upon sales. Simultaneously, it's where you know this is my limit. After this, either I take a risk or I make a loss. But it is a point where I know this is what I can maximum take a risk. Going beyond that is taking higher risk, or going below it is I'm making losses. Something like that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Contribution upon sales.
I heard that. In fact, the moment you started itself, I realized that you've got into costing. You're right, sir. Perfect. I have nobody to say you're wrong. It's generic term. Sorry to say this in front of all these colleagues. I've seen a lot of people use it interchangeably. I'm not saying sir, I'm not saying that. I've seen a lot of people in very elite forums use break-even and payback interchangeably. And I wonder, yeah, it is good, slip. I also make mistakes. But then I realize it's not a mistake in actually an error in saying. It's a conceptual error, which can be absolutely damaging when you get into valuation. I want to take one more call. Just ask Hitendra sir, what is the difference between right, break even and payback? No problem, sir. In fact, Mr. Sanjay has answered it already. Anybody? No problem at all, sir. Absolutely no. These are terms we keep hearing, no? Left and right. This audience, I'm sure you have been hearing it. You may not be using it. Prasanna sir, I'm sure some finance guy would have come and kept on bugging him saying break even. Some people will say payback. What is the difference? I'll just take a minute's pause and then if not, I'll give you a absolute conceptual error. In fact, the answer has already been given out by sir. I'm not giving you the answer. Answer has come from sir. I'm going to simplify it. Break even is an operating concept. Let me simplify it. Break even is an operating concept. It's an OPEX concept. It talks about no profit, no loss scenario. While payback is more of a CAPEX concept, capital expenditure concept. It talks about payback, talks about how soon can you recover your investment. Which means, as a valuation strategic roadmap, there are three things that we have advised, and this goes to respected colleagues like you or a client like Aircel. Rule number one. I don't need to talk to you all about the telecom sector, sir. We all know this. I don't need to tell you all, but just one line. Heavy competition, very clear that only the stronger ones will survive. Very, very clear. So in this very, very tough environment, we have taken some strategic decisions. When I say we, for me, the client and me, we are the same. Aircel we have taken, we are now demerging. But before we demerged, a year back we set, circle-wise we set limits. Circle-wise we set limits. We said, goalpost number 1, be EBITDA positive. Goalpost number 1, be EBITDA positive. What is EBITDA positive? At least earn enough that you can cover your basic expenses. The sad fact is, some of the circles are not even EBITDA positive. But that's okay. Aircel is a great brand. They will turn it around, and they have got some of the best managers around who's touchwood attached to the company, and you can see that turnaround happening. Okay, in spite of this competition, among the new licensees, they are the better off, right? But please understand, the entire logic when we come back is first be EBITDA positive. Second roadmap that we have set for them, we have set for our client, right, is once you are EBITDA positive, try and reach break-even as fast as possible. So break-even is no profit, no loss, including all your expenses. Third goalpost, once, thank you, right, wonderfully put, sir, a contribution analysis, technical term. Third thing, once you are above break-even, you are making profits. Once you start making profits, then we will try and see how to reduce the payback period. Number 1, thank you for nodding. Number 1, be EBITDA positive. Number 2, break even. A break even, right, as sir said, I'll put it right here, is a case where you have a very simple case, this case, no profit, no loss. But we try and push the organization into this area because that is where the profits start coming. Once the profits start coming, then we'll talk about recovery of investment. Recovery of investment is a capex concept. It is more of a concept of, please note, it is more of a concept of payback. You cannot interchange these two terms. I'm not saying any one of you all did it. I wanted to say this because now when we say into valuations, look at it. You have taken all the parameters of OPEX and CAPEX here, and that is why we use this method. Look at it. You yourself know it. This is your OPEX parameters. This is your CAPEX parameters. You have taken both the aspects, and that's exactly where you will now to see. This is where we start pulling it up. Any questions on this, please? Any questions? Anything that you would like to ask on this? The first model is we do what is known as two-stage growth model. In valuation, once you have these two things put together, we will have what is known as two-stage growth model. What is two-stage growth model? All this is given to you all, and I hope I have simplified it. This was not designed keeping in mind Mr. Vishwanath. It was not designed keeping in mind Mr. Prasanna. This entire write-up was designed keeping in mind a layman. So Mr. Prasanna and Mr. Vishwanath will anyway understand. I hope you will understand that a two-stage, look at the term. What is a two-stage? Sushil sir, what does a two-stage growth model mean? Any idea, sir? I know you're new to the field, but what can it mean conceptually? What can it mean? What can it really mean, a two-stage growth model, sir? It means, sir, that any unit that you start, that you have, can have what is known as, Mr. Hitendra, can have what is known as, sir, a supernormal growth rate. Can have what is known as a supernormal growth rate, where the unit can jump, can grow at a very good rate. But ultimately, sir, right, ultimately competition will come in. And once competition comes in, sir, agar koi bhi dhande mein, if you are going with a margin, Hitendra ji, Saraf sir, if you go with a margin of 20% growth, 20% growth, that means somewhere down the line, competition will come in. And moment competition comes in, your growth rate will slow down. More importantly, Sanjay sir, even if competition does not come in, your growth rate will slow down because of you yourself, which is known as base effect. You don't need competition to slow down your growth. You yourself will slow down after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, because there is something known as base effect. What is this supernormal growth rate period is? I am at 100. I have a 10% growth rate. That will come to 110. Then another 10% growth rate. I'll come to 10 of 110. Now to achieve a 10% growth rate on 110, I'll have to grow by 11 units to 121. Now again 10% growth rate. Now I have to grow by 12.1 units. Thank you. To 133 odd. That means with the same growth rate, I find that earlier it was 10 was okay, then it became 11, then it became 12. That means the absolute value of the, thank you, will go on increasing. That means a supernormal growth rate may not slow down only because of competition, because of economy. It slows down because of what we call as, with your permission, right? As I said, I want to put all the jargons here. What is known as base effect. So what is a two-stage growth model saying is, you will have a supernormal growth rate which will stabilize after a period of time to what is known as a stable growth rate. And I hope I am simplifying this. You know why I said this, Prasanna sir? You will be the first one to come back and tell me, and I really like the way you really interact, sir, saying that, Mr. Menon, I don't have competition, so I will keep going. Even if you don't have competition, Saraf sir, even if your clients don't have competition, because of their own growth rate has to slow down, and that's the genesis of valuation. Having said that, Sushil sir, there are exceptions. And there are some wonderful exceptions. One of the exceptions, and I am proud to say that this is an exception, is an Infosys, which has as of now kept on defying the base effect. Another beautiful case, I wanted to start with an Indian company, right, is as of now they have defied this principle, especially in the last 3, 4, 5 years, is Apple. A company which has consistently defied, right, these expectations, this base effect is, right, Google. No, but I am not valuing a Google. I am valuing a normal case. I have to give you a normal framework. This is your normal case where you have what is known as two-stage. What is a two-stage is where sir's restaurant business will go in a supernormal growth rate, then it will stabilize, which, Sanjay sir, some of us also do what is known as my own colleagues, right? I use a two-stage model. I'll share with you. My own friends, they say, "Nee, Anil, we don't want to use a two-stage, we want to use a three-stage." Achha, what is a three stages? You will have a supernormal growth rate, then you will have a normal growth rate, which is slightly slowed down. So you are saying for the first 3 years I'll grow at 20%. Then I slowly slow down to 15%, competition, base effect. 3 to 7, Mr. Menon, I'll grow at 15%. Finally, I will hit stable growth rate. I can just put my hand up and say all of my friends are very good, but it doesn't make any difference in valuation. And I want to share this. I have been only talking practice with you all. I want to say this, you may have a 7-stage growth model. You may have a 11-stage growth model. It does not make a difference. Please do not start chasing the nitty-gritties. Look at the main essence of valuation. And the main essence of valuation comes from not how many stages do you go through. That's a very good business presentation, which is very good, and I respect that. We are talking finance, we are talking valuation. Your main essence of valuation actually comes from your stable growth rate. It does not come from others. Others are, sir, if you want to show a beautiful Excel sheet, you can do 5-stage growth model. Lekin main value kahan se aata hai? Main value comes from, and I hope this is kept in the mind of anybody here who is interacting with consultants, that they may have 7-stage, 5-stage, 11-stage. You should go back and look how the calculations have done for the stable growth rate. Because now comes the right time for me to tell you, in a stable growth rate, sir, yes sir, we calculate something known as, this is where you practically observe what is known as terminal value. Some of you were very clear what you wanted. My request to you all is, you wanted a fast nitty-gritties, no? Any consultant's valuation, you should ask for, okay, all very good, Mr. Menon, lovely presentation. Show us how you have calculated terminal value. And then you start, because, sorry, voice, because the terminal value contributes to minimum of 60 to 70% of company's valuation. Thank you. Minimum 60 to 70%.